Welcome, dear friend. You have found a quiet place tonight. Let the world outside grow still. Let your breathing slow. Let your body sink into the softness beneath you. Tonight, we travel together to the ancient land of Egypt, to a time long ago, when one man heard the voice of God in the desert, and nothing was ever the same again. Close your eyes now. Breathe in slowly. And breathe out. We begin in the stillness before dawn. The Nile River moves in darkness, wide and slow and silver under the stars. Along its banks, the papyrus reeds whisper softly in the night breeze. The frogs sing their low ancient song. The air is warm and heavy with the smell of water and mud and green growing things. This is Egypt, the most powerful nation in the world. A land of towering monuments and endless sand, of golden pharaohs and 10,000 gods. But in the shadows of the great temples, something is wrong. A people groans beneath the weight of slavery. The children of Israel, the descendants of Joseph, now number in the hundreds of thousands. And the Pharaoh, fearing their numbers, has made them his servants. They carry stone. They mix mortar. They raise up the great cities of Ramesses and Pithom beneath the burning sun. And they cry out to God in the darkness of their tents, when the day's labor is done. God hears them. Even in the silence of the desert night, God hears. Now let your breathing slow a little more. Feel the warmth of the ancient Egyptian night around you. The stars above the Nile are thick as scattered grain, a great river of light crossing the darkness. You are safe. You are held. Listen. A baby is crying. Beside the river, a young Hebrew mother named Jochebed sits in the rushes, her heart breaking open with love and terror. She has hidden her baby boy for 3 months, but she cannot hide him any longer. The Pharaoh has commanded that every Hebrew boy child be thrown into the Nile. And so, with trembling hands and a mother's fierce love, she has woven a basket of papyrus reeds, sealed it with tar and pitch, and placed her baby inside. She lowers it gently into the slow dark water. She watches it drift. His sister Miriam stands at a distance, watching, her feet in the cool mud, her breath held tight in her chest. The basket floats. It turns slowly in the current. The stars reflect in the water around it, little broken lights dancing on the surface of the Nile. And then, in the pale gold light of the early morning, the daughter of Pharaoh comes down to bathe at the river's edge. Her attendants walk beside her like shadows. She sees the basket among the reeds. She sends a servant to fetch it. The lid is lifted. And the baby opens his eyes, and cries. Pharaoh's daughter looks down at the small face, the tiny reaching hands, and her heart opens like a flower. She says, "This is one of the Hebrew babies." But she does not turn away. She does not obey her father's command. She reaches down and she lifts the child and holds him against her heart. And Miriam, watching from the reeds, steps forward, and offers to find a Hebrew woman to nurse the child. Pharaoh's daughter says yes. And so it is that Moses is carried back to his own mother's arms. He is nursed in his own home, by his own people, for a few more years of warmth and milk and stories whispered in the Hebrew tongue. And then he is brought to the palace. And he is raised as a prince of Egypt. Let your body relax now, deeply, into rest. Let your arms and hands grow heavy. Let your legs grow heavy. The night is quiet around you. The story of Moses moves slowly through the centuries, like the Nile itself, deep and unhurried. Moses grows up in the palace of Pharaoh. He is taught the ways of Egypt. He learns to read the hieroglyphs. He is dressed in fine linen. He walks among the great pillared halls and the painted walls, where the gods of Egypt stare down with their animal faces and their cold stone eyes. He is a prince. He wants for nothing. And yet, something stirs in him. Something that will not be quiet. One day, he goes out to see the people of his blood. He watches his Hebrew kinsmen laboring in the heat, carrying their burdens, bent under the weight of stone. He watches an Egyptian taskmaster raise a whip against a Hebrew slave. And something breaks open inside of Moses. He looks. He looks to one side, and the other. He sees no one. And he strikes the Egyptian down. He buries him in the sand. The next day, he goes out again. He sees two Hebrew men fighting. He tries to make peace between them. But one of them turns on him, and says, "Who made you our ruler? Will you kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" And Moses understands. It is known. When Pharaoh hears of it, he seeks to kill Moses. And so Moses runs. He flees across the desert, away from the towers and the temples and the golden world of Egypt. He runs until Egypt is behind him and there is only sand, and wind, and the vast indifferent sky. He crosses the wilderness of Sinai. He comes at last to the land of Midian. He sits down beside a well, exhausted, alone, a prince with no palace, a man with no people. Feel the quiet of the desert night now. The sand cools quickly after sunset. The stars come out in their thousands. The silence of the wilderness is deep and wide and very old. Moses sits. He breathes. He waits for something he does not understand. The daughters of a Midianite priest come to water their father's flock. Shepherds try to drive them away. Moses stands. He helps them. He draws water from the well for them, lifts the heavy buckets, fills the stone troughs, watches the sheep crowd in to drink. The girls go home early. Their father, a man named Jethro, asks them how it is they have returned so soon. They tell him. He sends them back to invite the stranger to eat with them. And Moses stays. He stays for 40 years. He marries Jethro's daughter Zipporah. They have a son. Moses becomes a shepherd. He leads the flocks across the wilderness, following the grass, following the water. He learns the language of the desert. He learns the names of the stars. He learns how to be still. 40 years of stillness. 40 years of sand and sky and silence. And then, one day, he leads the flock to the far side of the wilderness, to the foot of Horeb, the mountain of God. He sees something strange. A bush is burning. But it is not consumed. Moses stops. He stares. The bush burns with a clear amber light, flickering in the still desert air. The leaves do not blacken. The branches do not turn to ash. It burns and it does not go out. Moses says, "I will turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burned." And God calls to him from the bush. "Moses! Moses!" And Moses answers, "Here I am." The voice of God fills the desert like the sound of deep water, like the sound of wind through the high passes of the mountains. It says, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." And Moses takes off his sandals. He stands barefoot on the warm desert sand. He covers his face with his hands, because he is afraid to look at God. God says, "I have seen the suffering of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cry. I know their sorrows. I have come down to deliver them. And I am sending you, Moses, to Pharaoh. Bring my people out of Egypt. Moses stands very still in the desert. The burning bush throws its amber light across the sand. The stars are out above him. The mountain is dark and vast behind him. He says, "Who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh?" God says, "I will be with you." Moses says, "But when I tell the people of Israel that God has sent me, they will ask me, 'What is his name?' What shall I say?" And God says, "I am who I am. Tell them, I am has sent you." Let yourself drift now, beloved, let the images grow soft and slow. The burning bush. The barefoot man. The holy ground. The name that holds all names within it. I am. Before the mountains were made, before the rivers ran, before the first star was lit, I am. The eternal presence. The ground of all being. The one who sees. The one who hears. The one who comes. Moses returns to Egypt. He goes to Pharaoh. He says, "Let my people go." Pharaoh says no. And so begins the 10 plagues of Egypt. The Nile turns to blood, slow and dark and heavy in its banks. The frogs come up from the river in their thousands, into the houses, into the beds, into the bread bowls. The dust of Egypt turns to gnats, a cloud of humming darkness. The flies come in thick black waves. The livestock sicken and die. The boils break out on every skin. The hail falls from a sky lit with fire, crashing through the crops, splintering the trees, flattening the fields. The locusts rise up out of the east on a hot wind, and cover the land, and eat every green thing until there is nothing left. The darkness falls, a darkness that can be felt, 3 days of deep moonless night in which no one stirs and no lamp is lit. Each time, Pharaoh hardens his heart. Each time, Moses returns. And then, one night, God speaks the final word. It is the night of the Passover. Every Hebrew household kills a lamb without blemish, a perfect lamb. They catch its blood in a basin. They take a branch of hyssop and paint the blood on the doorposts and the lintel of every Hebrew home. They eat the lamb roasted over fire, with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They eat standing, their sandals on their feet, their staffs in their hands, ready to move at a moment's notice. And at midnight, the angel passes through the land of Egypt. In every house where there is no blood on the doorframe, the firstborn son does not wake in the morning. The cry that rises from Egypt in the darkness of that night is beyond imagining. Pharaoh rises in the night, he and all his servants and all of Egypt. And there is a great cry in Egypt. There is not a house where there was not one dead. And Pharaoh calls for Moses and Aaron in the night, and says, "Rise up, go out from among my people, both you and the children of Israel. Go and serve your God as you have said. Take your flocks, your herds. Go." And Israel goes. 600,000 men, and women and children beyond counting. They stream out of Egypt in the night, carrying their unleavened dough on their shoulders in kneading troughs bound in cloaks. They carry the bones of Joseph, who asked his brothers long ago to carry them home when the time came. They walk by night, and they are led by a pillar of fire, a column of living flame that moves before them through the darkness, lighting the way, keeping the darkness back. A pillar of fire. Let that image rest in you now as you grow sleepy. A pillar of fire, moving through the desert night. And behind it, a whole people, walking toward the promised land. Walking toward freedom. Guided by a light they cannot explain, only follow. Only trust. Now let your breathing slow to the rhythm of walking feet on desert sand. Step. And step. And step. The night is cool. The stars are close. The fire goes before you. But Pharaoh changes his mind. He sends his army. 600 chosen chariots and all the chariots of Egypt, with horses and riders, thunder across the desert. The dust of their coming rises like a wall against the sky. And the children of Israel, camped by the shore of the Red Sea, look back and see them coming, and their hearts turn cold with fear. They cry out to Moses, "Was there no graves in Egypt? Why have you brought us out here to die?" And Moses says, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm. The Lord will fight for you. You need only be still." And the pillar of cloud and fire moves from before the camp of Israel and stands behind them, between them and the army of Egypt. On one side, darkness. On the other side, light. All night long, the two camps are separated by the pillar of God. And Moses stretches out his hand over the sea. All night long, a great east wind blows. Strong and steady and relentless, it pushes the waters back. The sea divides. The waters stand up on either side like walls, shining in the firelight, dark walls of water held in place by the word of God. And Israel walks through on dry ground. Imagine walking through the sea at night. The walls of water on either side, moving slightly, alive. The wet sand beneath your feet. The stars above you. The children are quiet. The animals are steady. And the fire goes before you. They walk through. All of them. Every man, every woman, every child, every animal. When the last Israelite steps out of the sea onto the far shore, the army of Egypt pours in after them. Their chariot wheels come off in the soft sand. Their horses stumble. And Moses stretches out his hand again. And the walls of water come down. The sea returns to its full depth. And in the morning light, Israel stands on the far shore, alive, free, and looking back at the quiet water that has swallowed the army of Pharaoh. And Miriam, the sister of Moses, the girl who stood in the reeds and watched a basket float on the Nile, takes up a tambourine in her hands. And she begins to sing. Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and rider he has thrown into the sea. The women follow her, dancing with tambourines, out into the desert morning, singing. And Moses stands at the edge of the water, his sandals on the ground beside him, the wind in his hair, the sea behind him, and the great empty wilderness of freedom stretching before him. He breathes. He is no longer a prince. He is no longer a shepherd. He is the servant of God, the deliverer of Israel, the man who heard a voice from a burning bush and said yes. Now, dear friend, let the story settle around you like a warm cloak. Let the images grow soft. The burning bush, glowing amber in the dark. The parted sea, the walls of water catching the starlight. The pillar of fire, moving through the desert night. The sound of Miriam's tambourine, growing faint and sweet and far away. You are resting now. You are safe. You are held. The same God who heard the cry of his people in Egypt, hears you now. In the stillness. In the dark. In the ordinary moments of your life. He sees. He knows. He comes. Let your breathing slow to almost nothing. Let your body be heavy and warm. Let the desert night wrap around you, vast and starlit and full of peace. Miriam's song fades to silence. The fire burns softly in the distance. And God says, I am with you. Sleep now, beloved. Sleep in peace. Good night.